Have you ever wondered why people ignore you sometimes? It's a question that most of us have pondered at some point in our lives. Well, today we're going to delve into this intriguing topic, guided by insights from a thought-provoking blog post by Psych2Go. They've identified 5 habits that, when exhibited often, might lead others to tune us out. These include talking more than listening, excessive criticism, negativity, lack of confidence, and overthinking in conversations. These habits can subtly creep into our daily interactions, often without us even realizing it. But fear not, this isn't about pointing fingers or making anyone feel bad. It's about gaining self-awareness, understanding these habits, and learning how to strike a balance in our communication. So if you've ever felt ignored and wondered why, or if you're simply curious to learn more about human behavior, you're in the right place. Stick around to learn about these habits and how you can work on them to improve your relationships. The first habit we are looking at is talking more than listening. Now imagine you're in a conversation with someone who seems to fill every gap with their own voice, barely pausing for breath, let alone giving you a chance to respond. They're so engrossed in their own narrative that they seem oblivious to your attempts to interject. This is a classic example of a person who talks more than they listen. This type of behavior can make the other person feel unheard and insignificant, turning what should be a mutual exchange into a one-sided monologue. It's a bit like being an audience member at a play you didn't sign up to watch, isn't it? Over time, people may start to avoid conversing with individuals who dominate the conversation, leading to a sense of being ignored. Let's paint another picture. You're at a social gathering and you've been eagerly waiting to share an exciting story. But just as you start, someone else takes over, steering the conversation back to themselves. How does that make you feel? Probably a bit frustrated and dismissed, right? Now, it's important to note that this isn't about never sharing your thoughts or experiences. It's about balance. It's about understanding that a conversation is a dance between speaking and listening, giving and receiving. It's about recognizing when it's your turn to step forward and when it's time to step back. So if you find yourself often talking more than listening, it might be time to take a step back and reassess. Are you allowing others to express themselves? Are you truly hearing what they're saying, or are you just waiting for your turn to speak again? These are crucial questions to ask yourself. And here's a little tip. Next time you're in a conversation, try to focus more on the person you're talking to. Encourage them to share their thoughts and feelings. You might be surprised at how much richer and more meaningful your conversations become when you truly listen. Remember, a conversation is a two-way street. Listening is just as important as speaking. The second habit that can lead to people ignoring you is excessive criticism. Now, we all know that constructive feedback is essential for growth and development. However, when it veers into the territory of constant, unrelenting criticism, it can become a problem. Imagine this. You're part of a team working on a project. You've put in hours of effort, brainstorming ideas and executing them. But every time you present your work, there's that one person who always seems to find something wrong. They nitpick at every small detail, pointing out flaws and errors, rarely acknowledging the effort and creativity that went into the work. Over time, this consistent negativity can feel like a blow to your self-esteem, leading you to dread any interaction with this individual. Excessive criticism can create an environment of negativity and stress, which isn't conducive to productivity or healthy relationships. It's like being in a constant state of judgment where nothing you do seems good enough. This impacts not only your self-confidence, but also your willingness to share ideas and take risks. Moreover, it's not just about the person at the receiving end. The one doling out the criticism also suffers. People begin to avoid conversations with them, fearing their harsh words and constant judgment. They become isolated, often left out of important discussions and social interactions. Their opinions, no matter how valid, are disregarded because of their reputation as a chronic critic. So why does this happen? Sometimes it's a defense mechanism, a way to feel superior or in control. Other times, it might be a reflection of inner insecurities or dissatisfaction. But whatever the reason, it's important to remember that there's a fine line between constructive criticism and excessive critique. To foster healthy relationships and effective communication, it's crucial to be aware of this habit and curb it. Instead of focusing on the negatives, encourage and appreciate the positives. Offer constructive feedback that helps others grow, rather than tearing them down. Remember, it's not about being perfect, but about learning, improving, and working together as a team. While feedback is important, too much criticism can push people away. Balance is key. Next up is the habit of negativity. Negativity, just like the common cold, is contagious. It spreads from person to person, leaving a trail of gloom in its wake. We've all encountered that one friend or coworker who always sees the glass as half empty. They're the ones who find a cloud for every silver lining, who can take a perfectly sunny day and predict a storm. It's important to understand how constant pessimism can drain the energy from those around us and lead to avoidance. Let's consider a scenario. Imagine you're at a party, surrounded by laughter and lively chatter. You strike up a conversation with someone who immediately starts complaining about the music, the food, and even the weather outside. Suddenly, the party doesn't seem so fun anymore, does it? Your own mood starts to dip, and you find yourself looking for an escape route from the conversation. Now let's flip the script. Imagine you're at the same party, but this time, you're talking to someone who's upbeat and positive. They're excited about the music, they're raving about the food, and they're making plans to dance under the stars later. Doesn't that conversation feel more engaging and enjoyable? Negativity, you see, creates a barrier. It's like a dark cloud that overshadows conversation and connection. It's a repellent that pushes people away because it's human nature to seek out positivity and joy. We're drawn to those who lift us up, who make us feel good about ourselves and the world around us. But don't get me wrong, it's perfectly okay to have bad days and vent about your frustrations. That's part of being human. But when negativity becomes a constant habit, it can drive people away. It's all about finding that balance. Remember, your attitude is a powerful tool. It can either draw people towards you or push them away. Positivity attracts people, negativity pushes them away. So be mindful of your attitude. It might just be the key to better relationships and more meaningful connections. Positivity attracts people, negativity pushes them away. Be mindful of your attitude. The last two habits on our list are lack of confidence and overthinking in conversations. Let's delve into why these two habits can become significant barriers to effective communication. Imagine being in a conversation where you're constantly second-guessing yourself. You're unsure if your input is valuable or if your opinions are worth sharing. This is what lack of confidence in a conversation feels like. It's like having an internal critic that undermines your every word, making you feel smaller and less significant. You tend to hold back, speak less, and when you do, your words lack the conviction that can engage others. This can lead others to perceive you as uninterested or uninvolved, leading them to eventually ignore your input. Now let's talk about overthinking. It's like running a marathon in your mind while trying to maintain a casual stroll in the conversation. You're analyzing every word, every reaction, trying to predict responses, and formulating perfect replies. This mental race can cause you to miss the natural flow of the conversation, making your responses seem out of sync or overly calculated. It can also lead to unnecessary anxiety that can further hinder your ability to communicate effectively. These two habits, lack of confidence and overthinking, can often go hand in hand. One fuels the other, creating a cycle that can be hard to break. But it's essential to remember that these are not inherent traits, they are habits, and habits can be changed. The first step is awareness. Recognize when you're doubting yourself or when you're overanalyzing a conversation. Step 2 is practice. Put yourself in more conversations, share your thoughts, allow yourself to make mistakes. The more you do it, the more comfortable you will get. Confidence is key in conversations, and overthinking can lead to miscommunication. Be aware and work on these habits. That brings us to the end of our discussion on the 5 habits that can lead to people ignoring you. We've peeled back the layers on talking more than listening, reminding us of the importance of giving others the space to express themselves. We've dissected excessive criticism, highlighting how it can push others away rather than foster growth. We dove into the dark cloud of negativity, illuminating its potential to drain energy and positivity from our interactions. And we've navigated the intertwined concepts of lack of confidence and overthinking in conversations, emphasizing the role they can play in creating a barrier to genuine connection. These habits serve as a mirror, reflecting our own behaviors and tendencies in communication. It's essential to be self-aware and strive for balance in our interactions. Let's take some time to reflect on our own habits and how they might be influencing our relationships. Remember, awareness is the first step towards improvement. Work on these habits and see how your relationships improve. Until next time, keep growing and improving.